Hey y'all, hi. It's finally time. This video marks the beginning of what I hope will be a pretty aggressive collection-wide makeup declutter spread across several videos. I'm starting with cheek products. I have all of my blushes, bronzers, and highlighters, creams, and powders here. I tend to kind of think of this as all one category, cheek makeup, and I store it all together, so I think I'm going to declutter it all together. Once I get everything spread out, if it's overwhelming and it seems best to separate it out into separate videos, I'll do that, but I think I'm going to do it all in one go. And when I say aggressive, here's what I mean. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a different declutter for me in that I've gotten to the point with my work on YouTube where I'm testing makeup most of the time. So there's less time, just logistically, for me to use the makeup that's in my drawers. I love using my old makeup, but because of these logistics, because of my schedule, when I go and use my old makeup, I only use my absolute favorite stuff. So that's happening. And at the same time, I am increasingly becoming someone who appreciates simplicity, who wants fewer, nicer things, and, even fewer and even nicer things with every passing year. All of these facts have converged to make me want to ruthlessly declutter my makeup collection, my existing beloved makeup, down to only the very finest few things that I'm going to be the happiest to use on those occasions when I'm using my own old makeup. So that's my overall context, and a quick reiteration of the other part of my context here. I work in the beauty industry now. My economic relationship with makeup has changed because a lot of this makeup was either sent to me for free or it's makeup that my functioning business, the business of this YouTube channel, purchased for review. I have a more fluid relationship with makeup now because of my work, and because so much makeup comes in for review, I get overwhelmed easily, and I'm really ready to boil this down to only the absolute essential pieces and start the new year with a clean slate. If you enjoy this video and you're not subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will subscribe. There's a bunch of content like this coming up. And without further ado, let's get into the meat of this video. Okay, it's feeling like a lot more out of the box than it felt like in the box. I'm still optimistic that I can do it all in one go, but I think I might need to kind of categorize it, organize it. Do I want to do that, or I just want to go through piece by piece? Maybe we just settle in and it's not super organized and I just go through piece by piece. All right, this was PR from Ciate London. It's the Dewy Bronze Glossy Cheek Tint. It is exactly what it sounds like, a liquid cheek tint that is actually really pretty. This entire bronze line from Ciate London was really pretty, but this does stay kind of sticky on the cheek, has a strong coconut smell. It's not really my favorite thing. It's not precious to me. I'm not going to keep it. This is a blush from a Kaleidos collection that I reviewed last year, and they sent me all of the colors, and I kept this one because it was so different from anything else in my collection. And here's the thing. I am ready to not keep things for that reason, because this really just gathers dust. It's hard to let go of something like this in the moment when it's so cool, and I reviewed it and I put this on my face and I really enjoyed the look. It was really exciting, but I need to realize that for me and my work right now, that was the purpose that this served. It was that video that I made. It's not going to continue to serve that kind of purpose in my life going forward. I'm not going to repeat that performance of putting it on and really loving the look once a week, once a month, not even once a year going forward, because when I am reaching for my beautiful makeup, this isn't the color I'm putting on my cheeks. So I'm not going to keep this either. This is a tough one. This is the Haus Labs highlighter. I love the glossy look of this on my cheeks. I reviewed this year. I reviewed a couple of things from Haus Labs. I loved the way that it looked on my cheeks. It's really, really glossy, really shiny, really pretty, a delight to apply, all of that. But as I continued wearing it over the weeks after that review, I came to dislike the gold flip. I don't like an orangey gold flip in my highlight. With my current mindset, that's enough for me to decide not to keep something. If I don't feel like it's precious to me, like it's my favorite, it's not making it through this declutter. This, however, is a really great product for me from Haus Labs. It's a cream to powder bronzer, and it might be the most successful cream to powder cheek formula for me that I've ever come across. It does feel like a hybrid product, and I love the way that that applies. I especially love it for a bronzer. It's also extremely neutral. It's genuinely neutral, maybe the most neutral bronzer I've ever come across. I think of it as my favorite bronzer that is like an actual bronzer rather than being basically a blush for me. I think I'm gonna hang on to this. This is also a tough one, and let me get its friend. Okay, here we have two icons, the Lancome Blush Subtil in Mocha Havana Shimmer, which is this darker one, and the Lancome Blush Subtil in Miel Glacé. Now, these are my favorite powder blushes, pretty much, these colors and this formula. I've used them so much. So this actually isn't a case where I'm like, oh, I didn't get good use out of it, but I'm getting rid of it anyway because I work in beauty now and, there's all this makeup. No, in this case, I actually feel like I used them. They were PR. They were sent to me as PR, and they became my precious favorites, and I used them a ton. They're just old. They've gotten really pretty old. They're several years old. And it's funny, I think that sometimes I forget how long I've actually been making YouTube videos. It's coming up on 5 years now. So makeup like this that I feel like I acquired in the second year of YouTube, that used to feel to me like new makeup. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I didn't have this before my YouTube channel. It's new. But no, they're almost 4 years old. And powder products can last a long time, but the past several times I've considered reaching for these, I've stayed my hand because I feel like they are past their prime. They're getting a little chalky. The color doesn't apply the way that it used to. It is just time for them to go. This, on the other hand, is something that is pretty much brand new to me. I just reviewed this and I love it. I'm definitely going to keep this. This is the Les Filles en Rouge face palette. I applied it on camera in that violet gray makeup video that went up just in the past couple of weeks. It's partly because it's so new, but it's also the formulas, which I really love, and the packaging, which I really love, that makes this absolutely feel like my precious. So I'm going to keep it. All right, the Rose Ink Highlighter. This is an interesting type of makeup for me. It's this. It's something that I reviewed. The channel bought it for review, so I didn't spend my money on this. I have no horse in this race. I like it, right? I gave it a good review. I think it's a good product. It gives that really, really wet look, sort of subtly wet look, shiny cheek. I even think it looks incredibly beautiful right there on my finger. I like it. If I'd bought it with my own money, I wouldn't regret it. If I had a smaller makeup collection, I wouldn't declutter it. But it's just not my precious, right? I'm just not reaching for it. When I want to illuminate my cheeks, I'm using other things. There's nothing wrong with it, except that it just hasn't wormed its way all the way into my heart. And because I review makeup, I have a lot of products lying around that have this status, and they're all gonna go in this declutter. This is a different story though. This is something I've had for a really long time, obviously, right? This is the Fenty Diamond Bomb, the original. Look how magnificently busted this is. Look at that. This also has some sentimental value because it was a gift from my cousin, but I'm also gonna try to let go of things in this declutter that I've been keeping because they were gifts. I'm really going hard. But this is really old. I mean, I think this is also 4 years old, and it's even more busted than you can tell because the back casing often pops off. This piece of makeup has served me incredibly well in so many ways, but its time has come. Okay, let's look at these Persona cream cheek products. So there is some makeup mixed in here that is just stuff that I recently reviewed, right? And that I just haven't sort of dealt with yet. These fall into that category, except for Dune, the bronzer. I really love this cream bronzer. I really love the super creamy texture. I like the color, and I've kept it and used it a bunch because I just really like it. I find it really satisfying. I really like the brand. But is that enough in this declutter for me to keep it? Do I feel like it's my precious and I'm like reaching for it over and over again? These are such pretty products. And again, as cream cheeks go, I mean, the formula is incredible. The colors are beautiful. I definitely don't need to keep the too bright colors. These aren't my colors, so even though the formula is great, I'm not going to be wearing those. This is Teddy. It's the blush color that I like the best. But I think if I were to keep one of these, I would keep the bronzer because it's got that kind of icky, mucky, almost slightly olive tone to it that makes it work so well with my complexion. I'm going to put it in the keep for now, the bronzer. We'll have a final reckoning at the end. But you know what? No, look at this. These are very similar products to me. And this is the Armani Neo Nude Melting Color Balm. So they're both these like melty cream cheeks, right? And the Armani Neo Nude Melting Color Balm is a no-brainer for me. It is my precious. I absolutely love this piece of makeup. I clearly use it all the time. It's one of the things that I use the most when I'm just wearing my own makeup. So I'm gonna keep this and not this. Crazy. Speaking of cream bronzers, while we're at it, this is the one from Merit, which is a gorgeous formula, but it goes a little orange on me. So this is just something that I reviewed, haven't been using it. I really like the Merit highlighting sticks, cheek sticks. And I actually do end up reaching for these sometimes when I'm just doing my makeup. I think I can keep just one though, and I'm gonna keep the really light champagne one, the neutral one that blends well for me with other things. This palette of Ket Cream Fix products is one of my most used palettes recently, mostly for the complexion products, which, aren't really what we're talking about in this video, but I really love these two cheek products as well. The highlighter and this blush in particular, I really, really love them. I'm definitely going to keep this. It's my precious. All of these CoverGirl dewy tints were mixed in because I recently reviewed them. So I had just tossed them into the blush drawer, but I don't really like this formula. I especially don't like it as much as I like the Glossier Cloud Paint. So it can all go. Speaking of the cloud paint, I only have 2 left. I've been pretty ruthless in decluttering any of the other colors that I ever had. And oh my gosh, am I gonna keep them? You know what has happened, I think? I feel like the Phytosurgence blushes have kind of unseated the Glossier Cloud paints in my affections. So there's Phytosurgence Fervor, Simmer, and Condensate. Now I'm seeing why I feel like Puff is worth keeping, though. It has that milky quality to it, And Dusk also has that kind of bronzy, almost slightly olivey bronze quality to it. So they are really different from the colors of the Phytosurgence blushes. I tend to reach for the Phytosurgence ones more frequently these days. They do kind of feel like Puff and Dusk are my precious in that they just really hold down the fort in a certain arena of my makeup brain. And I do like to compare things to them, especially Dusk. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep them. And the Phytosurgence blushes, it's kind of a rare situation. I don't usually relish the feeling of being a collector of every single color. I mean, this isn't every single color, but this is a lot for me to have 5 colors of a single formula. I just love the formula so much that it makes me happy to have them all. Maybe at the end, if I'm trying to squeeze it, to narrow it down, I'll weed out 1 or 2, but for now, it just feels like a no-brainer to keep them. Aha! This is the kind of thing. This is the kind of chaff we're shedding right now. Oh, the color is so pretty, but no. This is the Cheeky Posh blush, which I got for a review a long time ago, over a year ago. It's the shade Mini Skirt. It's a Victoria Beckham beauty product, and I've just never liked the formula. Also, the packaging's rattly, and no, I love the color, but it's not my precious. I want it to be, but it's not. I find the formula a little dry, and it's hard for me to apply it in a way that's not patchy. Here is an oldie but a goodie that can make cream cheek in shade 16. This is a great product that I got a ton of use out of, but it's either 3 or 4 years old, and it's a cream cheek product. It's gone. Okay, the Glossier bronzers. I have tried to declutter them 5 times. They've been here on camera before, and I've been oh, I'm decluttering them now. And I just can't seem to do it. I just like them. I like their little things. I like the little tubes. I like the colors. But no, these ones are definitely going. Even Flare is going. It's just a little too orange, you know? I would rather use Dusk. I would rather use Glossier Dusk to bronze. It's funny with those bronzers. It's like there's some part of me that just likes having them around because it feels luscious, but I genuinely never use them. This is something I think I'd like to keep. I reviewed e.l.f. makeup last year, and this is the one cheek product that I reviewed from there. And I don't use it as much as I would like to, but I really do like it. I think the reason I don't use it is that it's kind of innocuous, you know, it's a little inconspicuous, especially among everything else. And so it just gets skipped over. And I'm hoping that I won't have that problem in the new year with my edited collection. The Rose Ink Blush, a formula that I really love in a color that I really like. This is also a product that gets skipped over because I reach for other things, because I'm testing stuff, or because I just don't think of it, or the compact looked the same as the highlighter when they were closed and I never knew kind of which one was which. I love how pigmented it is. I gave this a really good review back when I reviewed it, and for good reason. I just like applying it. I feel like I always get exactly the look that I'm going for, just like the Rose Ink Concealer. I keep smelling it to see if it has gone bad because it's as old as the concealer was, and the concealer did eventually kind of start separating and going off. This is kind of a maybe for me. Let's see how we feel at the end. Okay, these Odin's Eye products, I thought I was going to declutter them all. And then I opened that one and I was like, I love you. I kept these even though I don't really wear powder blush and I don't really use this kind of highlighter. I just really love the embossing and the packaging. They felt so special and cool, and I just wanted to keep them. But I don't really need to keep this sort of middle of the road powder blush. I want to keep it because even though I don't always wear them, every once in a while I want something like this, that like out of this world space highlighter. But it's this one though. It's the blue one that looks really wet and super shiny. The pink one, the sort of pink gold one, I don't need that. That to me is a little bit more, or you know what it is? It's that if I want this, then it's this that I want. You know, I never want the sort of half measure of this type of thing. I always want the wild one. So this can go. I think this is gonna stay. It's my precious, okay? Okay, here we have a challenge. This is something that I bought for review. So when I say I mean I chose to spend some of the channel's budget on it. If you saw that review, then you know how it went, which is just not well, right? I just didn't love it. I felt like I put too much on and it got sort of patchy. The glossiness got kind of patchy. It wasn't as neutral as I wanted it to be, but it's just so hard for it to not be my precious because it's Gucci makeup and the compact is so cute. I want it sitting on my vanity in the new year, enough to keep it even though I struggled with the formula. It still sparked joy is what I'm trying to say. I'm keeping it. This is an interesting case too. Chouchette, the Westman Atelier blush. I got this, it was part of a reviewing really expensive makeup I've never tried video. I like the formula. It's the color. The color's a little bit not the thing for me, but this is something I use a lot. I just use it a lot. If I want, again, like a middle of the road blush, like the powder one that was here from Odin's Eye that I didn't keep, if I want something like that in a cream, I'm always reaching for this one. I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. I feel like this does have a place in like my personal edited collection. Oh, but you know what can go? These. I really loved this product for so long. I think it's really cool in its way. This is the M Cosmetics Color Drop Serum Blush, and it was so innovative. You know, like I think that they kind of kicked off the serum blush craze. With all this makeup, I just don't use them because of the fiddly bottles, the fiddly pumps. It's just, I'm gonna grab Chouchette and swipe it on and buff it out before I'm going to open one of these serum drops. Blushes, drop the drop onto my cheek, fuss with it, blend it, you know, they're just not getting used. Here's a blush that is getting used. And this is one of those rare cases. This is something that I bought with my own money. This wasn't for review. This wasn't with my channel's budget for review. It wasn't PR. I just was like, I want it. I see it. I want it. I twirl on my haters. And I've been using it a lot. It's Pat McGrath Flirtatious. Definitely keeping it. I'm kind of getting down to it here. It's like, I'm managing to get through everything in one video. Okay, these two Kjaer Weis blushes. I actually also have an empty Kjaer Weis compact that was mixed in. This is Joyful. And this is Blissful, I think, or Blissed Out or something. They look kind of the same in the compact, so I'm swatching them. There's Joyful, and there's that one, whatever it is. And you know, in the swatching them, I love Joyful. I think it's a really cool, unique color. It has that yellow undertone that makes it work really well and kind of gives it, I don't know, an editorial subtlety that a lot of blushes don't have. But I think it's kind of reaching the end of its life. You see how it's swatching a little bit patchier, and it just doesn't have the same melty creaminess of this one, which is much newer. So I think it's time to pop this out. What I'll do is I'll pop out the pan and recycle it, and then I'll keep the compact just like I'm keeping this one. And if I get Kjaer Weis refills again, I'll put them in there. But this one I'm going to keep. This is another one that I reach for a lot. It's just so creamy, so easy to apply. Y'all, I don't know what to do about these Kosas cheek products. I think that they might also be just a casualty of the size of my makeup collection because I got these, I think they were part of my Kosas full review, brand review. So I got them for review and I loved them. When I got them, I was so excited and I used them so much in like the months surrounding that review. And then I just completely stopped using them. And I've sort of kind of forgotten that I own them. And it's just because everything's so jumbled. I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot going on. But I think because I had stopped using them, I was sort of thinking maybe I don't really like them anymore. Maybe I want to declutter them. But just as soon as I opened them up and looked at their creaminess, I was like, oh no. The issue is just that I haven't been seeing them. But I see them now. I want to keep them and keep using them, especially the highlighters. I especially love these highlighters. So I'm going to hang on to these guys. I actually have a 6th Phytosurgence Skin Spark Fume that got left behind when I was talking about the other ones, but I'm going to keep it too. This is something that I weirdly love. This is an e.l.f. multi-use pigment. It's in the shade Waking Up. I just use it a lot. I think it's because it's got a nice neutrality, looks great on the cheeks, and it's really, really pigmented, kind of like the Rose Ink one. I can get it to do whatever I want. It's not messy. It never gets all over the place. When I'm using it on my cheeks, I can just pop a little bit on my lips to add a little bit of color. This was PR. I just really, really like it. I want to keep it. The Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer, one of my favorite powder products and most used powder products of all time. It's pretty old. I'm going to keep this, but I might need to replace it. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on it, see how it's doing in terms of its pigment and formula, the smell and stuff. I might need to replace it, but for now I'm going to keep it. I really love using it and I use it a lot. Let's look at these Rituel de Fille products. One of these I bought for myself a long time ago, actually before I even had a review budget for my channel. Like I just bought this for myself. This is the Inner Glow Cream Pigment in Eros. And this they sent to me in PR. It's the Alchemist Highlight Intensifier. And I applied this in a video a while back, this year, but a while back. The Highlight Intensifier is wild. I mean, it is wild. I was gonna not keep it and now I swatched it and now I want to keep it. So here's the question. Do I keep this? Because this is the thing. If I ever want to do this and I need it to be like editorial gloss the house, this is absolutely the best thing for the job. I mean, I think that that's what it's designed for. But that's not what I'm trying to keep right now, right? In my makeup collection right now, I'm trying to narrow it down to like my everyday products that are my precious. And this, it's just like, oh, I would be really glad to have it if I was going to a festival. But I never go to a festival. It's kind of messy because it's really, really glossy. It sets a little as you spread it out, but it's just a little messy. It doesn't set completely. It's such special, cool makeup, you know? It's hard to part with it, but it just isn't my precious. Not in that way, you know? I think I'm gonna let it go. And I think I'm gonna let this one go too because it's so old. And even though I really love having this super cool toned brown as a cream blush, and I'm glad that I have had it all this time and I've gotten some use out of it, I don't use it a lot. Again, because of its age, I think I'm okay with letting it go too. The 3CE Take a Layer Multi-Pot, it has made it through so many declutters because it's so beautiful. It's so visually striking, you know what I mean? But no, I don't wear it. It's not my precious in that way. I love it. It's really cool. It's really special. But no, I'm not keeping things for shock value or that kind of aesthetic value right now. I'm not keeping novelties, you know? And you know, that's kind of what this was too. This is kind of like a novelty product to me. That language helps me be at peace. Here is something that I've kept through many declutters because I just keep saying to myself, oh, Hannah, you just haven't figured out how to use it yet. You're just doing it wrong. It's the Janessa Myricks Dew Wet Balm. A really cool product, a really pretty product. Balms that don't set just aren't for me. And I think I need to admit that I'm just not going to figure out how to make it work. Another really interesting product that I think is really special, this is the Phytosurgence Spectral Shine. This is a really, really hard-pressed, almost waxy highlighter, and it's just you buff the thinnest layer onto the skin, and it's kind of like waxing your skin with shine. In my full Phytosurgence review, which you can find by searching my channel, I talk about how I didn't get it, and then I finally did get it, and I do think it's a really cool product, but I don't use it. I don't use it like wild like I do some of my other products. It's not one of my go-to cheek illuminators, so I'm just gonna let that one go as well. This is what's left. The Lady Gaga Pigment, which I kept after that video because I was like, maybe I'll use it as a blush. Oh, I forgot what a beautiful formula this is. Forgot how impressed I was by the Lady Gaga makeup. Maybe I will use it as a blush, but it just looks so yellow. It's just buffing out to look kind of like a yellow beige. I'm not gonna use it. Okay, my favorite cheek thing of all time, the e.l.f. Active Lip and Cheek. This is discontinued. The formula is incredible, and the colors, especially the highlight, is incredible. It's all just perfect. Here's the thing. I haven't been reaching for this lately because it's so gross. It's some years old. You can see I've had my fingers in it a million times. I haven't opened it yet, but I have an unopened one of these that a friend sent me a while ago. That makes it easier for me to let this go. I don't want the unopened one to just sit there getting older and getting older. You know what I mean? I'd rather let go of this gross one, open the one that I have that's unopened, use it until it gets this gross, and then just let it all go. Okay, this is a tough one because it too has sentimental value. My friend Simbri gave it to me. She's such a thoughtful gift giver, and I really love one of the 4 highlighters that's in here. It's this one. The other ones, it's all just too gold for me. That's the thing that's going on. It's all just too gold. I love the way that this looks though. The fact that it says Dior, the shape of it. I don't know, y'all. It's an impractical keep for me because I have decluttered other highlighters because of being gold. But the thing is, this one has some other stuff going for it. One is that Simbri gave it to me. 2 is that I really love the Dior packaging, and I will enjoy continuing to have it in my makeup drawer, even though it's a bit gold for me. I'm gonna hang on to it for now, and maybe it'll be like the next declutter that it doesn't make it through. But for now, absurdly enough, it feels like my precious, even though I don't use it all that often because it's so gold. Okay, and lastly, the Make Beauty bronzer, which I love because of the packaging. And in the review, which was pretty recent, I found that even though it seems like it would go orange, it ends up looking kind of rosy on me in a special way. I'm gonna keep it. Oh my goodness, let's assess the situation. Okay, this doesn't fit. These are the keeps. These are the ones I decided to keep. I think I can do better. I think I'm gonna go through and weed some of them out and make this collection even smaller. This doesn't really fit on the screen, so I'm gonna put it to the side, but I'm definitely keeping this. All right, let's go. The Intensified Edit. I'm gonna start with the Phytosurgence blushes. I don't need them all, y'all. I don't need them all. I'm telling myself this as much as I'm telling you. Because here's the thing. They all look the same in the drawer. And what happens is when I want one, and I always just want condensate, I like look through them all trying to find the one that I want. And sometimes I end up using the others because I can't find condensate in time. So I need fewer of them. Fume, I definitely want to keep because it was like the most neutral, desaturated, rosy one before condensate came along. It's a banger. And I actually really love Simmer, the bright pink. I love the way that it makes my cheeks end up looking. But I also really love Fervor, even though it's not really my thing blush-wise. I always get a kick out of using it because it's got that really rich quality. And am I really willing to part with these ones? No. Oh, I can't do it. I think what I need to do is just store them upside down so that I know what the colors are. I think that's the solution. Okay, let's categorize these to give me some perspective. Okay, here we have my powder blushes. And this is technically a bronzer, but to me, it's a blush. It works as a blush. I think this is totally reasonable, the 3 powder blushes. Here we have my bronzer, my cream to powder bronzers. I think that is also totally reasonable. And here I have 2 powder highlighters. That also feels really reasonable. And then here we have cream blushes. Clearly, this is my category. And I feel like if I can whittle, it's gonna be in this category. And here's the thing. I don't like this bright peach cheek on me. So I'm gonna let go of Velvet Melon, this Kosas compact, and just keep Tropic Equinox. Oh, this is a highlighter. So I'm putting it over here with the highlights, but it's my only highlighter that's not like a liquid sort of skincare product. I have the Auric Glow Lust and the Lisa Eldridge highlighter. I kind of think of those as complexion products. This is the only one that's like part of the cheek product drawer that gets mixed in with blushes on application. All right, I'm not seeing anything. Nothing's jumping out at me as like a really good candidate for being whittled out of this collection. But this still feels like so much to me. This isn't like the edit that I was imagining I would end up with. Even though this is like a big multi-product category, I was imagining ending up with even fewer products in this group. Let's see if any of these are just truly dupes, like color dupes. Okay, Westman Atelier Chouchette, the Rose Ink blush, which is in, I think, the shade Heliotrope. Yeah. And Kier's Weiss Blossoming. They're not exactly the same, but they are all kind of barking up the same tree, if you know what I mean. Glossier Dusk is looking pretty similar to the Kosas blush, but not exactly the same. The Kosas one has a bit of a sort of like an apricot or peach flush to it. None of the others are jumping out immediately as being like wildly similar. And you know, when it comes to this kind of thing, I'm thinking of trying to decide between Westman Atelier, Kier's Weiss, and the Rose Ink, which are like these 3 luxury blushes that I really am interested in continuing to use more now that I've whittled down my collection. When it comes to this kind of thing, it's like the fact that they're really similar colors doesn't matter as much to me. The question that remains is like, is it my precious? Am I excited to use it? Am I happy that it's there? Am I going to be pleased when I see it? Am I going to want to reach for it? Is it going to give me pleasure to use it? And I think the answer is yes for all 3 of these. But I'm going to give it one last look and ask myself if the answer is yes for everything that's here. All right, y'all, ruthlessness. Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. I'm making some vicious last minute cuts. The Merit thing, because when I started remembering that I have those liquid highlighters like the Lisa Eldridge one and the Auric one, started thinking about how much I love to use them. I realized that I just prefer them over this format. Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer. It's really old. I actually do think it doesn't perform like it used to, and I'm just hanging on to it because I'm used to loving it. You know what I mean? But no, it can go. Especially with the Pat McGrath here and the Gucci, it can go. Glossier Cloud Paints. I'm just keeping them because they're classics, keeping them for old time's sake, keeping them because I never thought I would declutter them. I'm not keeping them because I use them. The Phytosurgence ones have taken their place. The Dior. It hurts, but I was just keeping it because I love how it looks and because Simbri gave it to me. I'm not using it, and I feel like I have too much makeup. and the Kosas. When I swatched it, it's just so orange. I love the highlighters in both of these, but the blushes in both of them are just too bright and too peach and too orange respectively for me to really get into them. I think that's actually the reason they've fallen by the wayside. And even though I love the highlighters, there are other beautiful highlighters in my life. The e.l.f, it's a great product. It's just color-wise, it's a little bit middle of the road, and I'm already keeping a lot. Okay, this is a little more what I was imagining. So these are the cream cheeks. These are the powder blushes. Oh, these are also cream cheeks. These are the powder blushes, powder highlight, bronzer. This I can get behind. This is a collection I can get behind. Are you ready to see what I'm getting rid of? I guess I should count, right? Okay, there's always a chance, there's a very good chance that I counted wrong, but I counted 48 products that are on their way out and 17 that are staying. But here's the thing. I know this isn't it, right? Because I know that I have a blush or two that I'm currently testing, and I might decide to keep one of those. And I also have that e.l.f. palette, that unopened e.l.f. palette that I'm going to open. You know what I'm going to do? I'm taking out the Rose Ink blush because of age, because I know that Rose Ink doesn't use the same preservatives that other brands use because it's a clean beauty brand. The concealer that I had as long as I had this went off, and the color is so similar to so many others that I am keeping. So now we're down to 16. And I think I'm going to stop here. I think that this is going to do it. Maybe once I declutter my entire collection and I'm putting everything back in the drawers, I'll go through and see if there's anything else that I can take out. But this feels like a good edit for me. This is the kind of simplified drawer of makeup with which I want to start the year. I feel like with this size of a cheek product drawer, each one of them is going to get attention from me. Nothing's just gonna sit there being forgotten about, languishing. I actually feel like when I open my blush drawer, I can consider every one. I can be like, do I want to wear this today, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this for every one? And, you know, I was nowhere near being able to do that before, and I think that that's what I want. So I'm feeling very excited about my future with these products now that I've whittled it down. And again, so grateful to you for spending this time with me. I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.